10 things that are expensive in the US than the rest of the world. The United States is often celebrated for its economic prowess, but it's also known for some surprisingly high costs of living. While many aspects of American life are comparable to other developed nations, certain goods and services come with a hefty premium. From healthcare to higher education, Americans find themselves paying significantly more than their international counterparts for essential services and everyday items. This list explores 10 things that carry a much steeper price tag in the US compared to the rest of the world, shedding light on the unique economic landscape of the country. 1. Healthcare. The US healthcare system is notoriously expensive compared to other developed nations. Americans pay significantly more for medical services, procedures, and hospital stays. This is due to a complex interplay of factors, including the privatized insurance system, high administrative costs, expensive medical technology, and the high salaries of healthcare professionals. Unlike countries with universal healthcare, the US system often leaves individuals bearing substantial out-of-pocket expenses. Even with insurance, deductibles and co-pays can be burdensome. The lack of price regulation and the profit-driven nature of the healthcare industry contribute to inflated costs, making medical care a major financial concern for many Americans. 2. Higher education. The cost of higher education in the US has skyrocketed in recent decades, far outpacing inflation. American students often graduate with substantial debt, a stark contrast to many European countries where university education is heavily subsidized or free. Factors contributing to high costs include reduced state funding for public universities, expansive campus facilities and amenities, high administrative costs, and the arms race for prestige among institutions. Additionally, the easy availability of student loans has allowed colleges to continually raise tuition without immediately dampening demand. This has created a system where the pursuit of a degree often comes with a hefty price tag and long-term financial consequences for students and their families. 3. Prescription medications. Prescription drug prices in the US are among the highest in the world, often costing several times more than in other developed countries. This disparity is largely due to the lack of government regulation on drug pricing, allowing pharmaceutical companies to set prices freely. Unlike many other nations, the US doesn't negotiate drug prices at a federal level, leading to higher costs. Additionally, the patent system allows drug companies to maintain monopolies on certain medications for extended periods. The complex web of intermediaries in the drug supply chain, including pharmacy benefit managers, also contributes to inflated prices. As a result, many Americans struggle to afford necessary medications, sometimes resorting to rationing or foregoing treatment altogether. 4. Childcare. Childcare costs in the US are significantly higher than in many other countries, often rivaling or exceeding the cost of college tuition. This is due to several factors, including strict regulations on child-to-caregiver ratios, high labor costs, expensive liability insurance, and limited government subsidies. Unlike some European countries that heavily subsidize childcare, the US largely leaves families to bear the burden. The high cost of real estate in urban areas also contributes to expensive childcare centers. As a result, many American families find themselves spending a substantial portion of their income on childcare, sometimes leading to difficult decisions about work and family balance. 5. Mobile phone plans. Mobile phone plans in the US tend to be more expensive than in many other countries, particularly when compared to data-heavy plans in Europe and Asia. This is partly due to the oligopolistic nature of the US telecom market, dominated by a few large carriers. The vast geography of the US also necessitates more extensive infrastructure, which companies argue justifies higher prices. Additionally, the practice of subsidizing phone purchases through higher monthly plan costs has historically inflated prices. While competition has increased in recent years, leading to some price reductions, Americans still generally pay more for mobile services, especially data plans, than their counterparts in many other developed nations. 6. Internet services. In the US, internet services are often more expensive and slower compared to many other developed countries. This is largely due to limited competition in many areas, with some regions only having 1 or 2 service providers. The vast geographical expanse of the country also contributes to higher infrastructure costs. Unlike some countries where internet is treated as a utility, the US market is less regulated, allowing providers to set higher prices. Additionally, the the lack of government investment in broadband infrastructure has left many rural areas underserved, further driving up costs. As a result, Americans often pay more for lower speeds and data caps, while countries like South Korea and Sweden offer faster, cheaper internet services. 7. Public transportation in major cities. Public transportation in major U.S. cities is often more expensive and less extensive than in comparable cities worldwide. This is partly due to the car-centric culture and urban sprawl that characterize many American cities, making efficient public transit more challenging to implement. U.S. cities typically rely more heavily on fares to fund their systems, unlike European cities that receive greater government subsidies. The cost of labor and maintenance in the U.S. is also higher. Additionally, many U.S. public transit systems are older and require significant costly upgrades. As a result, riders in cities like New York or San Francisco often pay more for their commutes than those in London or Tokyo, despite sometimes receiving less comprehensive service. 8. Airline tickets for domestic flights. Domestic airline tickets in the U.S. are often pricier than comparable flights in other countries or regions. This is partly due to the oligopolistic nature of the U.S. airline industry, where a few major carriers dominate the market. High operating costs, including fuel, labor, and airport fees, contribute to elevated prices. The U.S. also has stricter safety regulations and higher pilot training requirements, which increase costs. Unlike some countries where budget airlines have a strong presence, the U.S. market has fewer ultra-low-cost carriers. Additionally, the vast size of the country means many domestic flights cover long distances, further driving up prices. As a result, flying within the U.S. can be significantly more expensive than flying similar distances in Europe or Asia. 9. Housing, especially in urban areas. Housing costs in U.S. urban areas are notoriously high, often surpassing those in other developed nations. This is due to a combination of factors, including limited land availability in desirable locations, strict zoning laws that restrict housing density, and high construction costs. In many cities, housing supply has not kept pace with population growth and demand. Additionally, the U.S. tax system incentivizes homeownership through mortgage interest deductions, which can drive up prices. Foreign investment in U.S. real estate, particularly in major cities, has also contributed to inflated prices. As a result, residents in cities like San Francisco, New York, or Los Angeles often spend a disproportionate amount of their income on housing compared to their counterparts in other global cities. 10. Automobiles, particularly European and Asian brands. Automobiles, especially European and Asian luxury brands, tend to be more expensive in the U.S. than in other countries. This is partly due to import tariffs and transportation costs for foreign-made vehicles. Luxury car manufacturers often employ premium pricing strategies in the U.S. market, knowing that American consumers associate higher prices with exclusivity and quality. Additionally, different safety and emission standards between the U.S. and other countries can necessitate costly modifications to vehicles, driving up prices. The U.S. also has a complex dealership system that can add to the final cost of vehicles. Furthermore, the weakness of the U.S. dollar against currencies like the euro or yen at times has made imported cars more expensive. Consequently, many European and Asian car models carry a significant price premium in the American market. Thanks for watching the video. Please subscribe.